It's time for Making a Living with Maggie Mistel, one of the nation's best-known career coaches. Ready to soul search, research, and job search into your ideal career? Career Happy Hour starts now.
Welcome to Making a Living with Maggie, the podcast that helps you pursue the career and life you were born to live. Today is a special milestone. We are celebrating our 101st episode. That's right, 101 episodes. Thank you so much for being part of this incredible journey of growth, purpose, and yes, well-being. As we step into this next chapter, I'm thrilled to share that I'm officially launching also a brand new service, Biofield Tuning. It's a powerful sound-based modality that supports clarity, balance, and deeper personal alignment. You'll be hearing a lot more about that in the weeks and months ahead. And speaking of alignment, today's guest is the perfect person to help us mark this moment. I'll be joined by the brilliant author of The Wellness Ethic, a refreshing reframe of what drives success, shifting us from the traditional work ethic to a more holistic, sustainable wellness ethic. You won't want to miss this conversation. Also, you'll hear a career tip on how to expand your mindset when it comes to what's possible. Yes, right now I'm hearing a lot of fear out there and a lot of people limiting themselves in terms of what's possible. Well, guess what? We're going to expand that mindset. I'll give you some specific tips that you can use to do that. And all the tips that you hear on this podcast over the last several episodes, many, have been from my book, Are You Ready to Love Your Job? Which is a great holiday gift, just saying. Anyway, before we get into all that, I want to share more of what I'm seeing, and that's a focus on career transitions. They're really on the rise, as we can tell with all the changes going on. I recently did do a webinar for hundreds of alums from a large university. We had over 200 people sign up, and it was a 1-hour webinar about my soul search, research, and job search process to help people get through and make successful career changes. So you may be thinking about a career change, or someone you know may be in a situation where they need to career change. Well, guess what? This is the podcast for them, and there's tons of episodes available, 101 to help, and it's all free. And you can also sign up for coaching, because I'm really happy to help with that too, in individualized scenarios, really help people customize the soul search, research, and job search so they can get the answers for themselves. I also spoke at a conference for project managers recently, and my topic was the power of believing in ourselves. So here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing all this change happening, and then people start questioning whether or not they're going to have a future. And so the power of belief was one of the most impactful speeches I've ever given. And the room was rocking. I'm so grateful for that experience and for the people who were there. And we all participated in it. That's what was also so beautiful. It wasn't just me talking. People were sharing their stories. They were being vulnerable. They were sharing where they didn't believe in themselves, and they were sharing what they did to help themselves. And the stories people shared throughout that 45-minute session were so impactful. When we came back to the larger room, it was I was in one of the breakout sessions, and we came back to the larger room to report back. One of the participants from my session shot her arm up in the air and couldn't wait to tell everybody that she understood how to believe in herself and was going to leave doubters behind her. I mean, it was amazing. And so that's the power of believing in yourself. Look at how motivated that individual was to get out there and put herself out there and get moving. Right? A lot of times when we're afraid, we freeze, right? Fear can paralyze us, and we don't make any changes at all. We just sit and wait for, I don't know, what to happen. And sometimes change happens to us. We're seeing a lot of companies laying off. But guess what? Those same companies in a lot of cases are also hiring. Okay? So it's about change. That's what's going on. And I was a change management consultant before I became a coach. And so what does that mean? I helped organizations, large ones, go through major transformations. A lot of times it was new systems that we were implementing across the entire organization, whether it was a state government, whether it was a school, whether it was technology, a communications business. I got to help people see the opportunity in change and embrace change for themselves, because the change was going to happen regardless. And that's the interesting part. And people like to blame the consultants and get mad at the consultants. But guess what? The pace of change marches on. And I was always saying, well, don't you want to be part of it? Don't you want to be shaping it? Don't you want to be involved in it as opposed to letting it happen to you? So I can tell you, having been through also now, unfortunately, several, both personally and from afar, but we've been through big changes before. if you go back to Y2K 25 years ago, that's when the sky was falling too. Things were going to change and things were going to end. Then we had September 11th, which was a massive change for a lot of people and a big tragedy as well. And then we also had the 2008 financial crisis. Do you see what I'm saying here? There have been times when we've been through pretty massive change. And 2008 was likened to the Great Depression. I mean, that systemic and that large. And there were people laid off during that time. And they did not have the growth and opportunity that we should be seeing now. And that should be coming. So keep your eye out for the green shoots. Don't stare so long at the closed door that you miss the opportunities. That's a great quote. And you'll hear another great quote later in the show about believing in yourself. So the good news is we've all been through change before. We can do this. Okay. And if you're feeling alone or paralyzed in fear, you don't have to go through that alone. That's why I'm a coach. It's for these moments, the good times and the not so good times, or the challenging times, I should say. And it just feels like, again, it's an ending. Yes. And that's painful, right? We have to grieve the ending. I was doing that webinar. Someone said about how they felt, their dream job was over. And I said, I hear you. And I had a feeling that was going to come up because a lot of people's jobs are going away that they may have really enjoyed and they weren't unhappy. And the question is, what do they do now? Well, guess what? It's time to dream a new dream, right? Your life's not over. Your life purpose is not over. Your genius is still here to be of service. So trust me, if you've been dealt a blow in terms of a layoff, it's not because you're not useful. In fact, I was on a podcast recently with Gina Carfasso. She's amazing. I just met her actually through an impersonation scam. I was not doing any of that, but someone was impersonating me and reached out to Gina because she had been laid off and they were trying to sell her resume services. And she reached out to me directly through LinkedIn and said, "Is this you?" And I said, "No." And lo and behold, she and I started talking. And Gina has a podcast called The Circumstance Podcast. And I ended up doing 2 episodes for her, one on what to do if you've been riffed, right, or laid off, and the other one about following your dream and finding that life purpose that really works for you, designing that ideal career. So Gina's amazing, and guess what? Gina has a new job. We met because she was laid off, and someone impersonated me. Next thing you know, she and I are talking, and I said, "Gina, look at your background. Look at what you've been able to accomplish. You'll get through this change too." And I really worked on her mindset together. It just was a conversation. And then we did the podcast together, which was another conversation. And she and I actually got the chance to meet in person, which was amazing in today's day and age. And Gina said, "I don't think I would have had this job if it wasn't for the mindset shift you helped me achieve." So if you're not able to get into a productive mindset, surround yourself with people like me. People like Gina, people who are making changes successfully. And if you don't know anybody, that's why I'm here. I have a client-only group on LinkedIn of successful career changers. I've been through this myself many times, right? I've got the book written about it, right? Are You Ready to Love Your Job is the name of my book. And it's got client success stories after success stories of people who made actual changes. So you don't need to just believe me. You can read for yourself. You can learn for yourself. And you can see for yourself that the genius you possess, the life purpose you possess, is still here to be played out. So contact me if you'd like coaching or to get my book. It's also a great stocking stuffer, just saying. Or like I said, you could even listen to all 100 episodes of Making a Living with Maggie, because mindset has been a big component to this podcast from day one. So you can make positive change in your life. You can recover from a layoff. And if you're struggling, you want to take great care of yourself as another component to this equation. And so up next, my guests and I are going to talk strategy on how to improve your wellness ethic. Stay tuned for more right here on Making a Living with Maggie. Hey listeners, if you or someone you know is thinking about a career change or feeling uncertain about their future, I've got just the thing. My 3-workbook package, Soul Search, Research, and Job Search, guides you step by step to uncover your strengths, explore your options, and confidently land your next opportunity. Plus, I also offer gift certificates available for one-on-one coaching sessions. All that and more, including my book, are available on the store at maggiemistel.com under the Shop tab. Practical, empowering, and the perfect way to help someone take control of their career. Check out all the products at maggiemistel.com today. Hi, everyone. I'm Maggie Mistel, and today we're diving into a refreshingly smart and funny take on wellness and work with author and life coach Mark Reinisch. His new book, The Wellness Ethic, How to Thrive in an Unpredictable World Where Stupid Things Can Happen, challenges the old work ethic that glorifies success at the expense of health and happiness, and offers a bold, practical alternative to wellness ethic lifestyle, called the wellness ethic lifestyle, excuse me. So Mark, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so you really are doing this different alternative, the wellness ethic, and I can't wait to talk about it. Great title and also great concept. So I love that the book is smart and hilarious. The world could use some humor. So what led you to write this?
Honestly, around 6 years ago, I took stock of my life and I had a lot to be thankful for. Wonderful family, a thriving career in corporate America. I had just sold a social media startup that I had founded. And I was healthy. So life should be fabulous, right? But I didn't feel it. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I focused on what I didn't have rather than what I had. And that's pretty much how I had lived my life up to that point. I just wasn't grateful. And so I thought, how can I get underneath the essence of well-being so I could be satisfied with my life? And I thought there would be no better way than to actually write a book about it, to do all the research, really get underneath the essence of well-being. And if I could then apply that to my own life and eclipse the blinding daylight between inspired living and the way my life was going, I could help others do the same. And I found that it was a wonderful journey. It truly did transform my life and the way I approach things. So it really did solve that need. But what it also did, it created a legacy for my children so they could have that book to tap into long after I'm gone. And the response from the readers has been terrific, that they've indicated that, yeah, this really helps them move forward in a very chaotic world. So the book did wonders. I'm thrilled that I wrote it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I am too. So was there a specific moment or aha that made you realize the old work ethic wasn't serving you or anyone really?
It really was at that pivotal moment 6 years ago where towards the end of the year, and I just taken stock of my life and thinking that there has to be more to this. And I ended up phrasing it in the book. I labeled it as you have to nurture the wonderful gift of your existence. And when you really think about life in those terms, that each and every day really is a gift. You could focus on your problems, and we all have many problems, and you work through those. But there is so much to be thankful for. There's so much good all around you. And if you shift your mindset and start to focus on that and think about your time on earth, that every day you're moving forward towards your dreams, towards the now of the moment of your life, your relationships, your work. When you start to really think about, I need to nurture this wonderful gift of life and make the most of it. It shifts your mindset, and you find that you start to find more and more ways to thrive. And that really was the transformation in my own life that has helped me take my life to a whole nother level.
Wow. Yeah. And I want to unpack that a bit for people. So the heart of the book is this idea of a wellness ethic, which you contract with the traditional work ethic. So how does the wellness ethic redefine success for people?
Yeah, what a lot of people view success as is, money and a big house, a job, and advancing in your career, and that can be part of it. Some people view work as it's noble just to work hard for the sake of working hard, and working hard is a part of life. But I tried to flip the script on that and view it as it's noble to work hard for your well-being, not just for the sake of working hard. So success to me, when you think about it in terms of the wellness ethic, it's about being healthy in mind, body, and spirit. It's about having healthy and loving relationships. It's about finding the time to pursue your personal passions. It's also about finding joy and meaning in your job. And when you start to focus more holistically on all those elements, if you do try to move forward in those areas, you'll find that you'll find more success than you expected. You'll find that you're getting more joy and fulfillment in your life. You're thriving far more often than you ever had. And when life is difficult, you have a strong foundation of good that you can lean on to help you through the rough times and emerge even stronger. So when you take that holistic approach, that's when life really starts to come together. And when you don't, and you're singularly focused on one thing, and maybe it's your job, you find that the other parts of your life, whether you realize it or not, are really sapping the positive energy. And eventually you're probably going to burn out. In fact, I'll just share one statistic that's really compelling. There was a recent Mercer study that showed that up to 82% of people are on the verge of burnout. That should make everyone stop and really think about their own situation. What's working well? What do you really have to take a look at and maybe do things a little bit differently? And don't be overwhelmed by that. You just take it step by step, move forward. And that's what the book that I wrote, The Wellness Ethic, I think will really help you do. Take it step by step and move in the direction of well being, and it will come together for you.
Yeah, and you do well in the book laying out the 7 components of wellness. You mentioned some of them already, but mind, body, spirit, relationships, personal pursuits, professional pursuits, and lifestyle maintenance. So you mentioned that statistic, and that's pretty amazing, 82% close to burnout. Which of these areas do you see people struggling with the most today and why?
I think it's really all of the above. And for each person, it can be something different. You may have a thriving career, but maybe it's at the expense of your relationships. Or maybe you're spending a lot of time in your personal life and you're loving that, and that's outstanding. But you may not be as focused on your career. So then you may be vulnerable for a layoff, or you may not be achieving your career aspirations, or you may have a good job and you really don't love it. You don't find meaning in the work that you do. So you feel like in a way you may be squandering your time at that job, even though it's paying the mortgage and doing a lot of good things for you. So for every person, it can be something different. And there's a recent phenomenon, and it's probably has always existed at some level, but it's called functional freeze. And what that means is on the outside, everything seems to be going well. You're doing well in your job. You may be exercising, eating maybe fairly well, maybe not. But if someone looked at you, they would think, yeah, everything's all right. And that's how I was 6 years ago. But you're going through the motions of life. You're not nurturing the wonderful gift of your existence. Maybe you're not really intentionally nurturing your relationships, or you're not addressing the challenges in your job and looking for a different opportunity to work in a different department, a different company, or an entirely different career that will truly align to your life purpose. There can be so many reasons why life is falling short for you of what it could be, but you're not doing anything about it. And I believe that my book, The Wellness Ethic, can be the antidote to that, because it will help you break down where you're at with mind, body, spirit, your professional career, your relationships, on your own terms, but through the wellness ethic lens, and help point you in a direction that could help you chip away at it and make it better each and every day at your own pace. So you can break out of that functional freeze And rather than going through the motions, start thriving in life. And that's when it gets really fun.
Autopilot, right? Is the
Yeah.
term you hear for that. A lot of people have been on autopilot, and then survival came into play with COVID, right? People's survival
Yeah.
felt threatened, and some, feeling kind of stuck in survival mode, right? And can't really thrive if you're
Absolutely.
just worried about surviving. So that's great. I really appreciate, Mark, that you're sharing this. Can you give us an example of how someone might apply the wellness ethic lifestyle design to their life, maybe balancing their career with their well-being or something else you've seen? Can you give us an example?
Sure. And in the book, I include a lot of personal stories because I wanted to show what good and not so good looks like. I'll give you one example that I wrote about in the book. When I launched a social media platform, I did it as a side hustle. And I've always had side hustles throughout my life, whether it's I wrote a dozen comedic screenplays, I was a life coach, I wrote this book, but I also spent 4 to 5 years launching a social media platform to try to compete with Facebook. Facebook won the battle. I didn't make billions, but what a wonderful experience this startup was, and ultimately selling it. But that took probably around 20 hours a week for 4 years plus straight. And now I had a team, a co founder, and others, but nonstop effort. That was on top of my corporate job, which would be 50 ish hours because I worked very hard there as well. I, it would seem like would have no time for anything else. That's where I had to be very intentional because those were important to me at the time for many reasons. But my relationships were more important. So what can I do there to live a wellness ethic lifestyle? Well, I involved my family and my children in the venture, and they contributed, and so they were very active in that. I would ensure that I'm going to all the sports games and going out to lunch with my children, having that one on one time, and a lot of other things to nurture my family relationships. I also would exercise and eat well, and I made sure I built those healthy habits. And my personal passions, I didn't have as much time for them, but I would carve out time to decompress, watch a movie. And I love film because I wrote screenplays and all that. So I would find a way to strike the right balance, even though it was a bit top heavy on the professional path, because in the moment, that was a top priority. But I made sure I had the right balance throughout the spectrum of the wellness ethic, because what you'll find is if you don't, for example, tend to mind, body, and spirit at the right level, that will erode your well being, your mindset, your happiness, your fulfillment. It will invariably impact every other aspect of your life. So, being able to find the right balance throughout all aspects of well being at the right level is very important. So, that would be an example, of where, even if you're working very hard at your job, you still need to tend to all those other areas, and you can do it.
You can't sacrifice your way to success, huh?
No, no, it's not worth it. And most people will tell you at the end of the day, and the old adage, if you're on your deathbed, you're probably not wishing you had worked harder. You're probably wishing you had followed your dreams and spent more time with your family and friends and so on. So we can learn that lesson now and adjust our lives accordingly if we have those opportunities.
Yeah, and you mentioned leaning on people when you do this, when you live the wellness ethic lifestyle, you have people to lean on when you need them. And it reminds me of the movie It's a Wonderful Life. He thinks he's got to figure out how to get this money on his own. When he
Right.
realizes, George Bailey, when he realizes he could lean on his community and have all that wealth that he built through those relationships and all the good that he had done. So I think with the burnout, just going back to that statistic, people on autopilot think they got to survive on their own. They're all on their own. They're all by themselves. There's nothing there to help them. When the reality is, no, we're supporting each other's success is one of the most important ways to become successful, right? So I think you can lean on each other a bit more than we have.
Yeah, and there are plenty of studies that show one of the most important factors to your overall well-being, your health, your mental well-being, everything are relationships. And there's a famous Harvard study that would track generations of people all the way back from the 30s to the current day. It's a study, a longitudinal study that's still underway. And what the overwhelming conclusion from this is that loneliness can be toxic. So being able to connect with a partner or your friends, your community, not only makes life more fun, but you've got that support network. You have that spiritual feeling of connection. Relationships are all upside, and that's why in the book I focus on that among the other areas to help you nurture loving, what I would call win-win relationships, where the other person is getting a lot out of the relationship, you're getting a lot out of the relationship, and it just uplifts both lives. Very, very important.
You also use the 80-20 rule throughout the book. That 80% of results come from 20% of our actions. So how can people figure out what their vital 20% is, especially if life feels challenging?
Yeah. And what I found with when I wrote the book, I thought I have to simplify this just for myself. So if I took something like spirituality, most people want to be more spiritual. I would love to be more spiritual. What on earth does that mean? You can read libraries of books, whether they're religion based or not. So how do you get your arms around that? So I apply the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, which basically says that 20% of actions will give you 80% of the results. So if you focus on the vital few priorities that are most impactful, you'll get 80% of the upside. And then if you want to go after that remaining 20%, absolutely go do a deeper dive and continue on the journey if you've got a passion for it. So something like spirituality, I broke that down as an example just into 3 areas. The first would be embrace your life purpose, because that really is your North Star. That will guide you in every aspect of your life to try your best to line it up to your life purpose. And that's how you really get joy and meaning from your existence. Then the second concept is love. The more you bring love into your life, the more you share love, it lifts everything up. And if you really think about your own life, you are happiest when you love the moment. You're happiest when you love a friend or a partner and you're doing things with them, enjoying life. Imagine your life on purpose and you're bringing love into your life every single day, as many moments of the day as you can. Life is good, but then invariably that curveball is thrown and it throws you off balance. And what I called in the title of my book, when stupid things happen, right? So something stupid happens. You could be laid off, or you could stub your toe, or you have an illness. All right, what do you do at that point when things aren't going good? And that's where the third principle of spirituality comes into play, and that's surrender. How can you surrender to the reality of what has happened, even if you can't control it? But then, very importantly, how do you accept that, frame it in the most positive, life affirming way? And part of that is just understanding that life is impermanent. There is a beginning, middle, and end to everything. Everything changes. So when something bad happens to you, it's nothing personal. Everyone on the planet who's ever lived has bad things that happen to them. That's part of the ebb and flow of life. But how can you then accept that, view it as realistically but positively as you can? And not everything is always positive. But then, very importantly, how can you choose your response to move forward?
Mark, thank you so much. This has really been an insightful conversation. It's given me a lot to think about. I hope listeners as well. So for everyone listening, Mark's book is The Wellness Ethic: How to Thrive in an Unpredictable World Where Stupid Things Can Happen. You can find it on Amazon or at wellnessethic.com. Thanks again, Mark. And to everyone tuning in, remember, thriving is the new working hard. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
And now it's time for your career tip. This one is from, of course, Are You Ready to Love Your Job? Written by yours truly. And the tip is called Open Your Mind Further to the Possible. If you're considering a career change, it's good to make a list of possibilities. All of them. You don't want to think, well, not that one won't work, or think something's impossible, because then you're missing the point. It's about opening your mind further to the possible, right? Everything is possible. Yes, everything. And what does that leave out? Nothing. So add your pipe dreams to your list, even if you don't believe they're possible. And if you're still struggling with that idea, here are a few ways to further open your thinking and enhance your possibilities list. Here's one. Go beyond the limits of linear thinking. Most of us keep to a linear pattern when thinking. I need to do this to get to that, to become this. Well, just because you studied or trained in a certain skill or subject matter does not limit you to jobs related only to that field of study. I was in audit. I have a CPA, and I became a radio host on SiriusXM talking about careers. And I loved it. That was my pipe dream, by the way. I didn't get there by linear thinking. So you can look at your career as if you're not trapped or limited. One of the best pieces of advice I got was no one can pigeonhole you but you. Do not allow yourself to be pigeonholed. Know that you are a multifaceted person with lots of ways to apply your genius. And all possibilities are available to you. Next, you can wave a magic wand. People ask me to do this all the time. Well, go ahead, pick up your phone, pretend it's a magic wand. Wave it. Yes, really wave it. Make a wish. Ridiculous? Not really. What's ridiculous is that you don't believe in all the possibilities, right? It's like not believing in yourself. So when you wave your magic phone wand, simply make that wish. Yes, change your limits and expand your possibilities. Is it age? Is it AI? Is it financial freedom? Is it that you don't have the skills? These are the limiting thoughts that are keeping you stuck. No buts. Wave the magic wand and erase those limits. Now, whatever your hang-up was, it's gone. Abracadabra. It's no longer there. Gone. And write down all the possibilities with your granted wish next to it in your journal or on your phone. Because remember, all possibilities, yes, all, are available to you. Did I mention that already? Here's one more tip to get your expanded mindset working on what's possible. Get inspired. Yes, sometimes when we're down and out, we can't see the open doors even in front of us. And sometimes we need to break out of the ordinary routine and think outside our normal patterns. This break helps us open our minds to new possibilities. So I recommend you make an appointment with and for yourself. Yes, some solo time. Put the hour or two in your calendar and get out to see some beauty, whether in nature, art, or in a museum, or even a powerful piece of cinema or theater. Make that appointment, keep that appointment, and allow the creative juices to fuel your possibilities. These tips can help you unlock the blocks that cause limitations in thinking. They can free you and open your mind to what's possible. And don't worry, we all have blocks at times, even me. That's why I don't just practice these tips, but I actually live by them. To open my mind, I know I need to get out and be in nature. Whether I'm spending time in the Florida Keys or Southern California, or even when I'm in big cities like New York, I take walks in the local park or community gardens. Wherever I am, I sit and listen to the sounds of nature. I notice the little details, the beauty, the patterns. It opens my mind and allows me to create bigger possibilities. And remember, I did get from CPA to radio host, so maybe there's something to getting out and getting inspired. For more tips like this, check out Are You Ready to Love Your Job? Available on Amazon and at MaggieMistel.com. I'm sorry to say we've run out of time. Thanks for listening. I'll be back again soon. Here's a quote to keep you inspired from Henry Ford. Here it is. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Remember to focus on your wellness, focus on what's possible, expand your mind, and really see and believe in yourself. I know you can, and I look forward to seeing you in all great career possibilities. Thanks for listening. I'm Maggie Mistel, your career coach, inspiring you to make a great living.
Understand more about how Maggie can help with your individual career needs and goals. Contact her at MaggieMistel.com or Facebook.com/Making a Living with Maggie Mistel. Together, we can all make a great living. Great living.